We've been building towards it, and finally we are here, Seafood Junction, Algoma, Mississippi. Maybe our last stop on the Catfish Tour. We'll have more about that later on, but Robbie, I'm ready for this stop.
I think I would just want to live here, bro. Let's see, we got frog legs.
Look
on
at
there.
the line. Look at the line of people to get into this restaurant.
This is going to be incredible. I cannot wait. Superior Catfish. Anything else you can think of is on this buffet. Let's go get some catfish.
I've been working so hard for the last 7 months. I deserve today. We're gonna go in there and eat. We're gonna talk to Jermaine Washington. He's the head of shipping and transportation for Superior Catfish. We're gonna talk to Gary. He owns this fine establishment. And we're gonna talk to our friend Jon Sokoloff from WCBI Sports. We're only a couple days away from SEC Media Days. What's he looking forward to in Nashville? All of that, plus as much catfish as I can humanly devour. It's coming up next here on Thunder and Lightning. This is Thunder and Lightning here on SuperTalk Mississippi. Hadad and Robbie Faulk here with you live at Seafood Junction in Algoma, Mississippi. Robbie, we have been waiting on this one.
Yeah, you're trying to get done as quickly as possible.
I have never wanted to work less in my life, and I've worked terrible jobs, but I am ready to hit that buffet.
Oh, man, I can't tell you. I went and looked earlier before they put all the food out. They have everything written
the list. Yeah, everything's labeled.
I can't wait.
That's great for someone like me who's not very bright.
That's right.
I'm like, oh, is that what that is? Okay.
Well, sometimes we can't even read, but
yeah. Well, I got Jon Sokoloff here. He's going to help me out here.
Big Daddy's over here.
John's here. John, don't eat any frog legs until I got you on camera.
Big Daddy's got a plate.
Big Daddy's plate is piled high. So yes, we're in good shape here. There are a ton of people here at the Seafood Junction. There was a line out the door when we got here. I got here about 45 minutes before they open, and there were already like 5 or 6 people standing in line. That tells you what we're talking about here. This is not your average seafood restaurant.
Yeah, this might be the best.
This
might be the best.
The pinnacle.
This might be it.
So
and we've had some good stops so far.
We have, and the Superior Catfish Tour has rolled on. We're going to try to keep that going. We'll talk a little bit more about that a little later, but I don't have the song here. Crew, I just have to make it work here. You'll be all right over there. We don't talk a lot of women's basketball recruiting on this podcast, but has the next Tierra McCowan committed to Mississippi State?
That's the hope.
Tell us about her.
Rocio, I think. Rocio
all right,
Jimenez.
Hold on. You're supposed to be this is your topic.
Well,
you're supposed to know.
I'm not the Latin America.
Did you see where
here.
The other night I had to queue up your video to get that guy's name? I was like,
you knew that I asked him that too, didn't you?
I know. I was like, Robbie would have gotten this information.
First thing I asked him is, how do you pronounce your name?
Is it Ligot?
Yeah.
We're good.
He seemed annoyed too. Like he probably gets that all the time.
Buddy, my last name is Hadad. All right, you just get used to it after a while.
Exactly.
It'll be all right. Go ahead.
Rocio Jimenez, I think.
Sure.
Don't hold me to
She's
that.
class of 25. We got plenty of time to figure that out.
Exactly. So, got some information the other day on her. She's 6'7". She just started playing basketball a year and a half ago.
Wow.
And she's 18 years old. She doesn't know how good she can be right now.
So I mean, she really does. Raw prospect.
Very raw. Okay. Very raw. She enrolled at a school in Florida around Orlando. I think Kissimmee. Central Point Christian, I think is the name of that.
Okay.
And basically kind of got her feet wet last year playing organized basketball really for the first time in a team setting. But she was on the Dominican national team. Some people remember Esmery Martinez, who Mississippi State signed a few years ago. She ended up not making it to school. She went to Texas, and then she went to West Virginia. They're both Dominican. They both played on the same team. She was basically the only one on that team that wasn't either in college or like a professional player.
Okay.
So she was like the youngest player on that team, just getting started. All that to say, like, Tierra McCowan was super raw when she came to Mississippi State, too.
She was. Took a couple years.
Yeah, so the hope is you have a player that can blossom into a dominant post player in the country. And as you know, there's not a whole lot of 6'7" centers out there in women's basketball.
I always say this, as much as we all loved Victoria Vivians, Morgan William, and those guys, what made those teams go was Tierra McCowan in the middle. You couldn't shoot inside on them. And then on the other side, you couldn't keep her from getting to the basket when she wanted to. If you have a player like that,
that is a recipe to get back to the Final Four.
And Vic Schaefer always told me, the guards, they'll put you in position. They'll get butts in the seats.
Yeah.
The centers are the ones, dominant centers are the ones that win you national championships.
Yeah.
And Tierra McCowan, there was a reason Mississippi State was in position. If you remember back her freshman year, she got hot like at the tail end of the season.
Yes.
You remember that game against Washington? She scored like 20 points in the fourth quarter, like just destroyed Chantel Osahor, who was the best rebounder in the country.
Yeah.
She dominated her. She was a freshman going up against a senior. And next year they go to the national championship. They win the SEC the year after that. I mean, it was Tierra McCowan that was really the straw.
The engine almost.
And it made you, too, the second trip to the national championship, if you remember that team, they went heavy on three-point shooting because they knew they could shoot a high volume because she was going to eat up the rebound and stick it back in.
And they could dump it into her whenever they wanted.
Exactly. So the hope is you can develop a player like this. She's very talented for a player that's 6'7". And it's like what I told somebody the other day. You cannot teach 6'7".
You can't, yeah.
6'7" is something that God
It's like a
gives
7-footer for a guy.
Yeah.
I mean,
And there's been some tall players at Mississippi State and elsewhere that weren't very good, frankly.
Yeah.
But I think she has the makings of being a really good player. She can shoot mid-range jumper. I think she can dribble the ball fairly well. She's got some good feet. I think she's going to be a good one in time.
Do you see Purcell's recruiting kind of jumping up at this point? Like it
Yeah, I
feels
do.
like he had a good first class.
Yeah.
I think I had 3 top 100, top 200 players. But this class and the next class, it looks like the reputation of him added to, and this is something we talked to him about, added to the results on the court. People are really going to buy into him.
Yeah, for sure. I think what you saw the first cycle, whenever he's recruiting those transfer players, when he first got here, when he was putting that first class together, he had hardly coached any games when he got those 3 top 100 players committed.
Yeah.
Those players just committed to Sam Purcell.
Yeah.
And now you have results. Now you can sell even more. I mean, he and his staff are great recruiters. Gabe Lazo has been outstanding for them. He's the primary reason why they were able to get the 6'7" player. And, we've seen Muriel Page has been a big reason for players. Corey Irvin has that connection in the Midwest and Chicago. She's been able to get them in the game with several players. So it's one of those deals where he's built a really good staff, and now he's put results in.
Somebody brought a cowbell in. I want them to just bring it on over here. Let's put it right here.
Oh, there you go. There we go. We got a cowbell, and we have some more swag to put here on the
It
on the
belongs
table.
right here in the middle. There we
Yeah.
go. Put it right down.
We will deliver it back to you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We'll bring it back. Turn that around so that M over S is looking good.
That's a
Like
beautiful
that.
logo.
Like that. By the way, speaking of logos,
Oh. We are taking credit for that, by the way.
you can call Robbie and I anything you want to call us. But when it comes to Mississippi State branding, you better call us right. Because the Script State is coming.
Yes.
Mississippi State registered its new logos with ESPN, and its number 2 primary is the Script State. The number 3 logo is Mississippi State without the banner. I thought that looked really clean.
Very clean.
And then the first one, obviously, there's one left. We got to get the banner M out, but we are 2/3 of the way there.
And we're taking credit for that, by
We
the
are
way.
taking full credit for
I
that.
don't care what anybody tells you. I don't care if somebody says, no, we plan on doing that anyway. No,
care.
you did not.
I don't care if they're saying, hey, 5 years ago we put this plan in action. No.
The End Zone 11 started the movement,
That's
and
right,
we
we
gave
did.
it a good push down the hill.
Brother Widespread, Brother Nellum, Brother Dog Season.
It would not shock me to see that state script on the helmets for most of the season, by the way.
I'm going to give you a little piece of information here that little birdie told me that you may want to expect some state script helmets early and often in the 2023 season.
You won't find any complaints from me. I think that's a
And what you
clean-looking
also
logo.
won't find is Brian Hadad and Robbie Faulk being wrong about that.
No.
Because we were right.
And
Once
people,
again.
and I promise you, people will talk about
They
that
will.
nationally and regionally about how good that looks.
I want my name associated with it. They better, when they talk about that on the broadcast, when Tom Hart and Cole Kubelik and Jordan Rogers are talking about that, my name better be brought up, and your name too.
Can we put a little T&L logo right underneath it where the trademark
Just
is?
instead of TM, TL.
Hey,
That's a good
to
idea.
me, that's only fair.
That's a good idea. One more thing before we get into this. We're going to talk to Jermaine Washington. He is the Director of Transportation for Superior Catfish. He's got some great stories. We're going to talk to Gary Higgins. He is the owner of this establishment, and what a place it is. Can't wait to hear from him.
We might have to talk to Natty. Natty desperately wanting to get over
The
here and be
entire
interviewed.
Faulk clan is here. Big Daddy's down there. Juju, Natty, Little Becky.
Little Becky.
Do you know your Little Becky, by the way? Okay. Do you know the Little Becky Dan Mullen story? Oh, what a great story. Who's Little Becky?
Yeah. Yeah, my phone's sitting up there on the podium, and it starts ringing. Becky's calling me. He said, "Who's Little Becky?"
Who's Little Becky? The fact that he didn't answer it to this day makes me upset.
He should have.
He should have answered it and talked. That would have been great. I mean, Coach Leach talked to my mom once. We could have had Coach Mullen talk to.
He did.
To Little Becky. As we say here, though, this is the rare Saturday podcast. The last Saturday podcast I did was Joe Moorhead when Willie Gay got in a scrap with Garrett Schrader. That's the last Saturday.
Garrett Schrader's
Thunder and Lightning.
bone.
That's Joel Coleman. Yeah. So this is a rare thing. And Sunday, you and I are not going to record because I'm heading to Nashville, and then next week you and I will be at SEC Media Days all week. What's the MSU storyline for you that is going to be delivered at SEC Media Days?
That's a good question.
Mine is simple, and I think you know what it is. We've been talking about it for weeks. They're going to be picked last, and they shouldn't be.
That's kind of where I'm leaning too.
Yeah.
I mean, I just saw a video today from On 3 saying that State's going to win. That their guy there said State's going to win 4 games.
Wait, what are we doing?
I mean,
what are we doing?
I tried to lay the stats out yesterday.
Nobody's
State,
listening.
Since 2010, I think State has been picked last or second to last 13 times.
And never finished there.
And they finished second to last or last, I think, 3 times. They finished last twice.
Yeah.
So
and one's Mullen's
first year, which
and
they
the
got
2020
better.
year, the COVID year.
Right.
Where they were making the biggest offensive change you could possibly imagine.
And maybe we're all wrong, and all these people that have never followed Mississippi State closely is right, but I doubt it.
I mean, we just proved that we were right.
That's right. I just feel strongly about Mississippi State being better than people project them. I feel really strong about that.
I want to say, Paul Jones said this, and when you think about it like this, it really makes a lot of sense. He said, if somebody were to go at Media Days and pick State to win the West, they would take a lot of heat for that. Mm-hmm. They would people would be making fun of them, whatever. But they would be closer to being correct than the people who pick them to finish last.
Yeah.
So that's just a battle. I mean, you know that you and I are going to have to fight that all season long, and we're going to have to fight. I got to, deal with it on radio and all that. And it's, I'm prepared to fight that battle because the evidence is on our side.
I just don't understand why this happens every year. I don't. I mean, you have 10, 12 years of evidence that shows you it doesn't happen. Yeah. Mississippi State, another thing I tweeted out yesterday, State has the 6th most wins in the SEC since Texas A&M and Missouri.
Since the last time State finished last, everybody except Alabama, I think, has finished last in the West. I know Ole Miss has. I know A&M has. I know Auburn has. I know Arkansas has. I'm pretty sure LSU has finished last in the West in one year. They had a year a couple of years ago. State's not finished last. So,
2020.
I'm not counting the COVID year. I'm not counting it.
That's fine.
Didn't happen. Except for the LSU game. That happened.
That happened.
The LSU game
State
happened.
was 1-0 in my opinion.
I didn't see. They won the bowl game, too. That's the only games I saw that year. All right.
For me.
We're going to talk now to Jermaine Washington. He covers. He works for Superior Catfish. He's their direct. I'm so used to.
He covers Western Michigan.
I'm all. Did I tell you I got that interview?
You got a Western.
I got
Michigan
a Western
beat writer?
Michigan interview.
All right.
If you missed this, next week we're going to be at Media Day. So, gosh, if State was playing LSU, Arkansas, Alabama in our opponent preview series,
easy pickings.
No problem. They're playing Western Michigan. So I did the Google thing, and I was just looking everywhere, and I got a guy, and I interviewed him on Friday. You'll hear it later this week on Thunder and Lightning. It's a good interview. He knew his stuff.
I'm sure.
He made a comment. He said something about the SEC, and it's like, and of course, you know how much success Alabama has had. And I was just like, buddy, if any human being on the earth knows how much success Alabama's had, you're talking to him.
Can you send him our episode where we're yelling at each other?
Yeah, we're just like, this is what the success of Alabama has done to us. So we're going to talk to Jermaine Washington, Director of Transportation for Superior Catfish. Then we'll follow that up with Gary Higgins. He is the owner and the operator and the man in charge of this incredible seafood buffet here at Seafood Junction. Let's talk now with our new friend, Jermaine Washington. We are here at Seafood Junction. It is difficult to put into words the anticipation that I'm having right this second.
Brian does not want to do any work. He just wants to go straight to the buffet.
and this man knows about hard work. Jermaine Washington, Director of Transportation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
For our friends over at Superior. How long have you been with Superior?
I've been with Superior about between 13 and 14 years.
You've put up with Brent that long?
Hey,
That is incredible.
that's my guy.
Do they give you like an award at the end of the month?
No. I wish they could, though.
They need to. We're going to make that happen for you. So, one thing we've talked about at every stop we've made is Superior family.
Mm-hmm.
It is a family atmosphere at Superior Catfish. What does that mean to you?
Oh man, Superior, the family of Superior is incredible. When you got the general manager walk in the front office in the morning and make coffee for everybody, you don't see that everywhere you go. So family is a big part at Superior.
What's a highlight for you of your time at Superior? Do you have a good story?
Oh yes, I'll tell you what. Fred came to me one day, and he took a group of us out to Texas to a food show.
Okay.
And we went around to some of our customers like Bond Brothers, and we went to one of our Fix Shack customers out there in Texas. And the highlight of my day when he took me to the Cowboy Stadium. I mean, that was everything to me.
So you're a big Cowboys
I'm
fan?
a big Cowboy
Big
fan.
Dak Prescott fan?
Big Dak fan.
You need to tell. We had a Dak Prescott signed helmet up for auction the other day. Tell Brent to buy it for you.
Hey, I'm gonna put that in the words.
It's only $1,500. We got you taken care of.
Okay, please do, Brent.
We'll make it happen for you. Tell Director of Transportation. It sounds like okay. You just make sure everything goes out. What is your job at Superior?
My job at Superior, I make sure that product get to the customer in the best shape, form, and fashion. I mean, it's a lot of hard work, don't get me wrong, because you got to deal with trucks at late at night. When that truck break down, I got to be the one to really put everything together. So transportation is not a bad job, but it's a stressful job at times.
Yeah.
But I enjoy every moment of it.
Yeah, Brent told us one time, he used to just pack it in the back of his truck and drive it to a location or something like that. I mean, how much has times changed for the industry and specifically for Superior?
Oh, it changed tremendously. Now that we on the USDA policy, you really can't do that anymore. So those days are gone in the past now. So that's out the door. It got to be a controlled temp environment.
Yeah.
Yes.
But what does that say about Superior, though, that guys like that are willing to load something in their truck and drive to, Louisville, Ackerman, someplace down the road and just take catfish to somebody, like, with their own hands?
Well, that shows you the reason by how loyal we are to our customers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we would take a box 50 miles just to satisfy that customer. We try to do everything in our power to keep our customers satisfied and happy.
Could you bring a truck to my house?
Put an order in, I get it there.
Just put me on the route.
Put an order in, I get it there.
I'll meet you.
Yeah.
You don't even have to come get out of the truck. I'll meet you at the corner and just hand it to me, and I'll go back to the house, and everything will be good. Now, we're kind of making fun of Brent back here, which is fun. I heard you have a nickname for him. The Paper Tiger.
Well, he get that name because he do a real big blow sometimes, but ain't nothing to him. That's why we get that name called a Paper Tiger. He's not going to do that. He's a big teddy bear.
we love Brent.
Yeah.
When you think about all the time you spent at Superior and all the customers that you've met and all the restaurants you've been to, what is it about Superior Catfish that makes you proud to be a part of it?
Well, our name speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Superior. It speaks for itself. I mean, I hope one day that Superior will be one of the best catfish suppliers in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, Superior, it speaks for itself.
Are you going to be able to handle that when we go from trucks to planes?
Well, the way time changes, you never know what may happen.
You're right about that. So, Jermaine, this has been a blast. I know you're excited to
Yes.
work for Superior. I know you're excited to get back there and eat.
Yes,
too.
yes, first time here.
Neither one of us have eaten today. So the fact that we're even doing this interview is a testament to our professionalism. Jermaine Washington, Director of Transportation for Superior Catfish. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you.
There are good restaurants and there are great restaurants, and there are restaurants that Brian Hadad would drive an hour and 20 minutes to come eat at, and this is one of those. Seafood Junction, here's the owner, Gary Higgins. Gary, I had never been here before today. I can promise you this, this is not the last time you're ever going to see me.
That's good. That's good.
How long you been the owner of this place? How long has this been in your family?
This has been in our family since 1988. My mom and dad built this in 1988. My wife and I built the second one in Bahia in 1997. When my dad passed away, the owners now are actually the Foster family and Montgomery family actually own this restaurant.
Okay.
But I do most of the procurement of the fish.
Well, that makes your job really easy because you have Superior Catfish in your corner there.
That's right.
So this is when we talked about this tour back during the spring, and we were talking about where do we want to go. I mean, this is what we would have drawn on a piece of paper. Like, this is the kind of place. But then the fact that it's a buffet is another thing. So when you have a product like Superior and then you make it all you can eat, that's why the line is out the door.
I hope so. I hope so. They got a good product, and it's a family atmosphere restaurant, and so it's been successful for a long time. Got good customers.
You talk about that product. We've been to 4 or 5 restaurants now. Everybody's kind of on the same page about Superior. For you, what sets them apart?
Well, first of all, when we first was introduced to them, it's just they had a good, clean product. It was always on flavor. They kept getting samples, and so finally, me and my dad, we buy a lot of catfish. That's our #1 seller. So we wanted to tour the plant. We went down, looked at the plant, and we were very impressed. So we started buying it, and I think me and Fred was talking. We've been buying it for over 15 years.
Wow.
So their fish is clean. It's always on flavor, very consistent, and they're just good people to work with.
That was the first thing when we tasted it that day. The first thing I said was every piece of catfish that I'm eating tastes the exact same. It's not muddy. It's clean. Yeah. It's the same size.
And you know that in the restaurant business, consistency is just everything. The person who comes here and eats here today, if they come back next week, it's got to be the same.
I don't know the last time we had all flavor fish, but in the past we've had it, and it makes it a nightmare. When you open a box and you have all flavor fish, it's a long night.
If you ever have all flavor fish, first off, you won't. But if something happens, there's a mistake. Brent's right back there. You take all complaints right to him.
He'll take care of it.
He will take care of it.
He'll take care of it. Good folks.
This is, Algoma is a city. Robbie will tell you, they sent me the text. They're like, would you like to do Algoma? And I was literally like, I don't even know where that is, or I had to look it up. And to find a little hidden gem like this, I mean, there's a lot of great places like this in Mississippi. What makes this one of the best?
It's just good food. My daddy always said good food, clean environment, and just love on your customers and take care of them, and they'll come from anywhere to eat. This was actually an old train depot in the early 1900s.
Oh, wow.
This was a big train depot. They made cross ties, and so that's where the Seafood Junction, the train theme came from. So he built it. I remember when we was building this, we built it ourselves, most of it, and it kind of felt like Noah building the ark. People come by and say, "What are you doing?" Because his joke was the population of Algoma doubled on Saturday night when we opened. So people thought we were crazy when we was building this, but he just thought they'd come, and we've been blessed.
You got 2 of every shrimp, every fish, every chicken up there. You're good. It is like Noah's Ark.
It's a lot of work.
All right, you don't have to say catfish. We won't get you in any trouble. But what's your favorite thing on the buffet?
Oh, whole catfish.
Really?
Whole catfish. I'm a whole catfish eater.
There you
Of
go.
course, you can tell I eat it all, but
You can tell we'll go up there and eat it all too.
See, this is the thing. I've told you, I've been dieting and losing weight for 6-7 months now.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's been building towards this day. I haven't had a cheat day, but that's about to happen for me here. So
we see a lot of that in here. I can tell you that.
it's not cheating when it's good, though.
Oh, that's right.
That's right.
So,
Well, you talked.
hey, actually, when I see people come through and don't get much food, that's the ones that make me nervous. if they're
You ain't gonna have that issue with me and Robbie.
if they're eating a lot, I know they like it.
There you go.
You talked about a while ago loving on your customers, having a good environment. Right when I walked into the door, I felt it here. The people came up here, introduced themselves, were happy to have us here. We appreciate that, and I know that's a big reason why this place is so successful.
We do appreciate the customers. You saw the owners, Teresa and Jill, people coming in. They know just about everybody here, greet them with a smile, and try to take care of them. You can't take anything for granted. There's too many other places they can go, so we try to be good to our customers, try to do the best we can with the food, and be good to the community, and just help out when we can, and it all comes back to you.
Gary, I know this is a good restaurant because there's a lot of people in here, but it's not very noisy. Everybody's just eating. Nobody's talking. They're too busy eating.
And not because they're listening to us.
The 3 of us are about the only
They're
3 talking in here.
They're not paying us any attention, man.
Gary Higgins, Seafood Junction. What a fantastic place. I can't wait to hit the buffet, and that's coming very soon.
It did.
Jon Sokoloff, WCBI Sports, here with us at Seafood Junction. He works for the WCBI Sports in Columbus. That's in Columbus, no matter what some SEC coaches would have you believe. It's not in Starkville. Doesn't matter what they put on their little fake press releases. It's in Columbus. How you doing, John?
I'm good.
He's been locked into a conversation with Big Daddy over here.
Big Daddy he's
John is going to be
immersed.
leading services at your church.
He's
very
immersed
soon.
in Southern Baptist culture right now. We got a buffet of fried food over here, a
Look at
Baptist
that.
preacher.
This
he's locked in.
this is the Saturday church.
Hey, any church with this kind of food, man, it's
Now,
great.
you haven't had one yet, but as you know, you were born in New Jersey.
Well, born in Philadelphia, grew up in New Jersey, but yes.
Philadelphia,
Same
born
thing.
not raised there.
No, not raised in Philly.
Did you spend a lot of your days on the playground?
I should have.
Okay.
I should have.
Did they a lot of frog legs up in Jersey? A lot of
No.
frog leg cacciatore, frog leg parmesan.
No frog
A
leg.
lot of gabagool.
A lot of gabagool. Anyone that's watched Sopranos knows there's a lot of gabagool in New
Oh.
Jersey. Yep, exactly. See, this is the problem. I feel like there are so many bits between the three of us that I can't share, and I'm.
We're going to share what we can.
I'm doing a good job
Yeah.
censoring it. And
My
making
mom's
sure that
my
it's
mom's
family
here.
appropriate.
If my
That's
mom's
right.
in town,
Your
if my
mom's
mom's in
great as
town,
well.
can I do it?
The thing about the frog legs
That's
is
right.
all
I
right.
hate that I looked you in the eye while you did that.
We're going to be all going to be in Nashville in just a couple of days. SEC Media Days. A little different for you versus us.
Right.
We're more Mississippi State focused. You've got to be there for State Ole Miss and Alabama as well. WCBI Columbus, if you don't know, is a big Alabama town. I would go so far. You could correct me. They might be the number one team in town.
In Columbus itself, it's probably like a pretty good three-way split, and you'll see places with Alabama gear. But once you get a little bit west of there, it's a lot of State and Ole Miss, and the
Yeah.
Bama stuff kind of fades a little more.
Then if you go to the Air Force Base, there's everything.
Yes, that's right.
It's a lot of. I've been on there and been amazed at the number of flags. There, see Ohio State, Maryland, UCLA. You're like, well, they're just from all over.
Yep.
We were talking earlier. What the storylines? SEC Media Days. Everybody likes to focus on storylines. What's your storyline for Mississippi State that you think people should be talking about?
Well, I can give you a couple of tiers of it. The one of that people will talk about, but then I have another one of the more interesting one. So the one that people will talk about more is Zach Arnett, obviously taking over since the tragic death of Mike Leach, all of that. So that'll be what people talk about more. But, we've spoken to Zach Arnett enough where he's not as interested in talking about that. He wants to make it more about the players.
We have done that.
Yes,
the
exactly.
national media.
Right.
No.
They're probably going to learn what I just said. But the one that I think we should be talking about more is how much Will Rogers will be using the coming season and the notion that he thinks that people has that he's a system quarterback. Because he even told us in the spring he can either play quarterback or you can't. It doesn't matter. And even based on what he said and also behind the scenes, he's incredibly excited about Kevin Barbay's system. He thinks that they've clicked incredibly well going into this year. So how Will responds and how he grows in his senior years being quarterback, I think, is more intriguing based on kind of what we've heard.
Contrary to the Ole Miss fans' thoughts, you're not a Mississippi State guy. You're,
No.
I mean,
You are wearing a
you're
red
from-
shirt.
I am.
I mean, you're from the north. You're not
Yeah.
from here, so this is not. You're not tied to Mississippi State like Brian and I. So
No,
we
no.
It could be possible that we're thinking a little more Mississippi State than they really are. Yeah. What's your perception of Mississippi State, the program, and also going into this year? Everybody's outside of Starkville and outside of the MSU. It seems like everybody's picking Mississippi State to be last. What's your thoughts on where they are in the pecking order and as a program where they've been, especially since you've been here, but also where they've been the last 10 years or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a fantastic question. The people that are saying that they should finish in last, I mean, I don't understand it when you look at the amount of talent that's returning for a team in such key places. For a team that won 9 games last year, that doesn't make as much sense to me. And when you look on paper at what Kevin Barbay did, who's being brought in to be offensive coordinator, and all the success that he had at Appalachian State last year, I mean, a very successful year for that. So, I mean, on paper, I don't know why they would. It might be a lazy kind of thing if I were to think about it, people not really looking into it. But, I mean, I think because I got here right kind of when Leach did, give or take, like right when he started in terms of games I did. And it was a similar kind of trajectory with that than what it was with his other few stops. Like a bad first year, slowly get better, slowly get built. And that's kind of what it was. It was bad. It was very young. It was COVID. They had to deal with so many issues with that. And then, worked their way up. The players got younger, bigger, and better. And then, I mean, we all saw what happened last year. So I think it's what I've learned is all of the insane in-state talent that they really take advantage of, that they really mold and grow, and that's what allows them to kind of stay competitive and be a mid to upper tier kind of SEC team based on the season.
When you look at this team and what they bring back, is it really just as simple as they're being picked last because Leach isn't here?
I think people look at it and they don't know who Zach Arnett is, and they think, okay, a 36-year-old guy, is he going to be able to lead an SEC program no matter who's coming back to that certain amount of wins? And that's probably part of it. I mean, it's got to be, but people don't really know about Arnett's path. They don't really know how much of a star he was at San Diego State and then the Syracuse thing and then coming out here. And that 2020 team, the only thing to really write home about was the defense.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're really good.
why LSU was coming after him right after that. So, I mean, that's probably part of it, and I think that's a good point in terms of why people would think that way.
I think when people talk about, the change that they have at head coach as being, maybe that's the biggest determining factor in them being picked last, but at the same time, I've been around this program since Dan Mullen was here, and it's kind of a similar atmosphere at practices, the way they do things. What we saw with Dan Mullen, what we saw with Mike Leach, I don't see a ton of differences in how they run things, the mindset that the team has, the blue-collar mentality. So to me, and I know there's a lot of questions to answer, but to me, you got your quarterback back. You got all these guys back in the front six. You got all these veterans that have played 3-4 years in the SEC. I'm not as concerned about Mississippi State as some of these other people. And I know there's a lot of toss-up games on that schedule, but at the same time, I cannot foresee this team being 4-8 or 5-7 or whatever people are projecting. I don't see it.
No, and I think there are two things that you really kind of need to look at, because I agree with you in the sense of that, how the practices are kind of structured, how Arnett's kind of led things, how the players respect him, all that's all been great. And in terms of recruiting for next year, he's done a good job at that as well. What we have not seen yet is two of the main things. One, how can Will Rogers do in this system, taking snaps maybe under center, something we haven't seen him do before? And then number two, when it comes to Zach Arnett, you can say all the right things, do all the right things in practice, get him prepared. But when it comes to those in-game adjustments that separates you from being a good or great coach to an elite coach, how does he do with those? And the ReliaQuest Bowl is the small sample size that we kind of have with it, with kind of like a messy game. It was a bowl game. We don't even really know what the mentality is on both sides. So that's the main thing I'm looking at, is when you're down 17-7 on the road at Auburn in the third quarter, what kind of Mississippi State team is going to show up? That's the thing that intrigues me the most.
We'll do a little equal opportunity here because we're probably about as close to Oxford as we are to Starkville. And since my buddy Mike from Oxford is here, I'll do him a solid.
He's decked out in Ole Miss gear.
Well, that's Mike, though. I would never begrudge him. He is a diehard Rebel and a good guy. Give us an Ole Miss storyline that you're interested in.
Well,
Jon Sokoloff versus Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my storyline.
That's the one. I think it's, that one has really changed, because it was, okay, is it going to be Spencer Sanders? Is it going to be Jackson Dart starting for this team? But, there's so many praises that have been sung for Jackson Dart through the spring, and we'll see through training camp. He's a big kid. He's a tough kid, getting better as the year went on. I think kind of he's the main story in terms of, can he get better? Can he kind of run things and I don't want to say improvise, but lead the offense to take that next step. But
that's
also,
what Corral gave them, though, was the ability, a little improvisation. That's what made them so dangerous.
Right, especially with the ground game as well, too. He had over 600 yards, but also the Golding aspect of it, too. What kind of difference is he going to make in this defense? Can he kind of set them over the top to maybe be, top 4 or 5 defense in the SEC, and which obviously, by default would make you one of the better ones in the country. Yeah. That and Dart are the two main things that we're kind of looking at, because you've seen some of it on the recruiting trail, but now we're obviously kind of looking for it in there. And can Lane kind of build on what he's done? To start out with the 7-0, and then after that we can talk about how the season kind of derailed as the year went on. There's a bunch of things.
We can talk about that all you want.
There are a bunch of things that went into that. It's the elephant in the room here, but they had a 10-win season. They had that great start and then kind of sub at the end and still won 8 games. So how do they kind of build on that? And is Jackson Dart their guy that's going to be able to do it those next few seasons? That's a main thing for these media days for sure.
Can't wait. Media Day starts Monday. LSU is the first team at the podium. We'll see Brian Kelly talking about his family.
That's right.
State on Tuesday, Alabama on Wednesday, Ole Miss on Thursday. They're keeping us there as long as they can.
So that's what I'm concerned about, though, keeping us there. Is it going to be Robbie and I, like, kind of keeping an eye on you there all week? Is it going to be me and you keeping an eye on Robbie? Is it me?
I think the
on
three of
both
us
you?
just need to keep an eye on Steph.
Yes, Stefan, absolutely. But I don't trust all of us down there, man. We're wild cards.
I don't trust you to pay for my Nashville hot chicken.
Well, you're not getting that from me.
It's fried chicken. We love fried chicken.
My wallet's in the car. Maybe Big Daddy can spot me a couple bills over there.
He's got you. He's got you taken care of.
He's talking to some people.
Baptist preacher.
We are hopeful this is not our last stop on the Summer Catfish Tour brought to you by Superior Catfish. We'll hopefully have some more information about that very, very soon. But if it is our last stop, what a stop it has been. And now the main event's about to happen.
It's
time to go eat.
Ring the bell.
All right.
Let them know. Let them know I'm coming.
Alert the cooks. Here it comes.
Start the backup fryers. I'm about to go. For Jon Sokoloff, WCBI Sports, and, of course, for my good friend Robbie Faulk, I will talk to you next time live on Radio Row in Nashville with Robbie at SEC Media Days. This has been Thunder and Lightning here on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
I did it.
Congratulations.
Wow, what an incredible place Seafood Junction is here. I'm telling you, this is a place I will come back to just on a random day. The food is that good. Thanks to Superior Catfish for bringing us here. Is this our last stop? We'll have to let you know that a little bit down the road, but we feel pretty good that this is not the last time we're going to be talking about Superior Catfish on the Summer Catfish Tour.
And if it is, I'm going to go down to Macon and get me another box of that catfish because I cannot do without it. It's been an incredible
Let's just go now.
tour. I'm game.
Tell
however it goes.
Brent and Fred we're coming. We need some more catfish. Guys, we've enjoyed this tour so very much. We hope to bring you some more, but if not, thanks for tagging along with us here on the Summer Catfish Tour brought to you by Superior Catfish.